gonna be a quick one on Selena. Figured I'd give you guys a small update here on what we have. We talked about, the shock mounts last time. These are all prepped, redone, reblended. So, once they're all welded out, it'll kind of look like they're supposed to be there. We had to follow suit on this side, so this is complete. I think last time we had a paper template kind of covering some of the caps, but this is a sealed setup now. Everything is built to clear the reservoirs. They're symmetrical now, so if we need to tie in, any kind of plate work or any appendages here, or even just looking at the presence here, everything is kosher with the symmetry. The other thing we talked about last time is adapting these beams, the newer beams, to our mounts. We don't have the sway bar mount on here, but we definitely have an improved strike pad. So you can see it's one piece that's broke here, 3/16 thickness chromoly. There's an internal rib here that's welded down onto the strike, and then there's this capture on the back. So it's a suspended strike pad mount. So that bump will index into here and strike here, where that rib is in here too, just to help it. It doesn't look like there's a lot of mass here, but I think that's going to be enough for it. And then we have a couple coilover mount with drainage. It's always important if you're doing like a box mount like this, where there's pockets, to have a relief for water, because they'll sit in there. I've noticed that a lot with trailing arms too, is the pockets don't have a drain or something, and it's just, for obvious reasons, that kind of sucks. So bypass mount, welded, boxed. Same on this side. Something that kind of seems awkward to me is this ear. This design wise, you'd want to draw this shape down for strength, but what's going on is this ear actually clears. That is how close that steering tie rod is to cycle through with straight tie rods. So I know it's 3/16 and it's one piece. Most of the brunt of strength for mounting a suspension setup is the coilover, is the sprung shock that's holding the car up, and that's seeing forces that the bypass isn't. The bypass is a secondary damper. That doesn't mean that it doesn't need to be strong, but it's not as critical as the coilover mount. And the coilover mount is set in stone here. But this weird ear hanging off with how thin it is, it almost wants an overlay. I'm gonna come back to that. I've thought about re-welding a little bit of this, just to clean it up, but I don't necessarily need, it doesn't need to happen. And same thing here. Strike pad on the backside. So. What we'll do is get all this stuff hung, you know, for the next update. Shocks will be in, and then figuring, you know, this is our mock-up sway bar. We have mock-up arms here that come out. What we'll want to do is figure out the front arms, the tie rod length, you know, get the sway bar mounts done on the beam and make sure everything cycles, and then come in the back. This is the Blitzkrieg cradle that you can buy just like that. I don't know if they still make them, but you know, pretty much bump stop area rearward is the cradle you buy. The cell can is already fabricated for you. This stuff comes welded, and that's their provision for the sway bar. So we need to have a mock-up going for the sway bar, because we're probably going to want to design these arms to, I think like I talked about last time, match the trailing arm, match the radius arms. And these ones for sure are going to look a little different because they do have a pretty substantial kick out here. So quick update on Selena. Nothing crazy. And we'll get back to this thing. The other next thing you can expect simultaneously, drawings for the rear like we talked about, closing this back thing in. So we'll be back. Thank you.